What's up, guys? Welcome to the Stats Free Sports channel. Let's get right into it. Here to bring you a video discussing who will be the Niners quarterback to start next season. Let's get into it. So, as we all know, the Niners are in a tricky spot. They have potentially three guys who could be the starting quarterback next season, and two guys particularly are kind of tied, for who was the best option. Trey Lance, as we all know, he is the third and last option, probably the lowest tier guy on this list, and could be on the move, honestly. But we'll talk about all three guys. So first, let's go with Brock Purdy, who was the starter last for the Niners. He came in, around week 11, week 10, week 11, and he went 7 or 8-0 plus the playoffs as well. Pretty good performances. Threw for 300 yards a couple times. The offense was booming with him as a starting quarterback. Their numbers shot all the way up. Scoring per game, yards per game, everything went all the way up. So that's something there. Then he played against the Eagles, the NFC title game a couple days ago. He got hurt, I think, the second drive, the third drive. So that grade against the Eagles, against the best team in the NFL, in my opinion, is kind of incomplete. We don't know what it could do against that squad. I can't quite judge it. He left so early in the game. We don't know what adjustments could have been made by the Niners side and Kyle Shanahan to help the pass rush issues. So that's an incomplete grade. I don't know what he does against the best competition, but he did win two playoff games. So couple on the road. Well, one on the road. So the Seahawks, yeah, to beat the Cowboys. So yeah, he won one on the road and one at home, and the Eagles game was incomplete. So that's him there. He's out for at least 6 months with the injury involving his elbow. So he'll be back around August. There's enough time, I believe, to start off slow, and he still could start. If he is named starting quarterback, he should be fine to start. They have a good running game. They have Christian McCaffrey. He shouldn't have to do too much. He can work his arm back in shape throughout the season, in my personal opinion. Now, going to Tom Brady, who was the GOAT. We all know that. The most winningest quarterback of all time. A lot of titles, a lot of rings, a lot of AFC titles. He's done it all. A couple MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs. He's done it all. He is the GOAT. And he's a hometown guy. The Niners is his hometown team. He grew up a Niners fan. You know, he like I said, he just surpassed a couple years ago, not just, but a couple years ago, he passed Joe Montana. To me personally, as the best quarterback of all time, who's a Niners legend. So it all makes sense to come home to the Niners. And then you have Trey Lance, who I believe might be on the move. It's a big rumor going around now about him going to the Titans, which makes sense because I believe my Falcons will land Tannehill via trade or free agency. I do believe that will or definitely could happen. So that makes sense there. Now, lay out all your options. Oh, and also Trey Lance, they traded a bunch of picks for him a couple years ago. They traded up for him. They was at pick 12. They traded up a couple of first round picks to move up to pick three to get Lance over Justin Fields. So that's a big thing there as well. Um, so yeah, those are three quarterbacks. Um, let's get into who will be the starter. Now, my personal opinion, trying to think like a coach, trying to think and understand and try to go in the mind of Kyle Shanahan, right? Kyle Shanahan has kind of had a rough go at quarterback. He had Jimmy G, who stays hurt. He had Jimmy G, who was hurt a couple years ago in the playoffs. So it's like, man, every time he gets a good thing going, to get a deep run going, the quarterback gets injured. Last year Jimmy G was banged up pretty good. He needed surgery after the season. You know, was it shoulder? I believe it's shoulder, or I believe it's just his throwing shoulder. But it kind of messed up on him at the end of last season. Then you get Brock Purdy, who was rolling through these teams, rolling, playing pretty well, and then NFC title game against the Eagles. Very early in the game was over. He was out the rest of the game. Well, he came out later on, but he couldn't throw the ball. So it's like, man, you would think Brady, who's Mr. Consistent, who's an Iron Man, who only missed time, if I'm not mistaken, was from a knee injury a while back. What 20? Let me guess, 2010, 2011, 2012 maybe. and Matt Castle came and took over for him, and then he got suspended for what 4 or 6 games for the Patriots a couple years back also. But other than that, Tom Brady's missed no time, if I'm not mistaken. He's been an Iron Man. He's been a workhorse. He's been consistently there for whatever team he's been on, and that's the thing. He still plays at a pretty good level. So your best bet is going with Tom Brady if that's the case. If you're thinking that way, if you're Kyle Shanahan, like man, every time I go deep, someone gets hurt. Well, Tom Brady doesn't get hurt. He's only been hurt one time. Really hurt to really not be out to really not be on outside on the field. Tom Brady's only hurt one good time. And that was a knee injury that kind of changed the game a little bit as far as low tackle, low sacks go on quarterbacks who's standing in the pocket. So uh, yeah, so Brady there has been pretty healthy throughout his whole career. But you go with Brady's age. Brady's old, and even still, if you bring on Brady, you let Brock Purdy sit for the whole year. You trade Lance. Where would that leave you? What? Given only Purdy's 1 year, half a year of starting, plus a couple playoff games, and Brady, leaves after 1 year, whether you win it or don't win it. What is Brock Purdy's value? That's the confusing part, So you would kind of need Purdy to play another year to make sure he's your guy long term. But you would think as long as Kyle Shanahan's there, he will be there. But you can't bet on that. If pieces do leave, if the defense get a little worse, will Purdy and the Niners be as efficient, as good as they were, with this squad last year? We don't know. If does Debo stay healthy all year? Does Kittle stay healthy all year? Does the line stay good all year? You can't guarantee that. So I would think personally you would need Brock Purdy to start next year. Tom Brady is a dream scenario. It sounds good. It feels good. The fit is perfect, dang near, and it just makes sense. But long term for the Niners, just in case they don't win it with Tom Brady, if he does come on, that leaves Purdy and his contract future, and his value up in the air. It's kind of tough. Now going with Trey Lance, I don't know. I don't really see a point in him even being on the team anymore. I'm not gonna lie. It's just time to switch it up. Just chalk it up. Take your L. Trade him to somewhere. I don't know who. If not the Titans, I don't know who. The Commanders, maybe. Sit behind someone else for a year or two. Then I don't know, man. It's kind of tough to find value. And what's the trade value for Trey Lance? I don't know. You know, if you look at the contract and look at his situation and what they gave up to get, okay, Trey Lance didn't get a fair shot to really play. He had a couple games, looked okay, but wasn't great. But he got hurt so early on in the season. He's still trying to find himself as a starting quarterback. And everyone is different. Everyone has different needs and things and time to. They need different amount of time to progress as a pro player. So that is true. But man, you have a guy already who's already ready in Purdy, and you have the GOAT waiting around, just waiting to see what happens with Tom Brady. It's kind of tough to even think Lance has a shot at starting, to be honest. It really is tough, and let's just say there's an open competition between Purdy and Lance going into next season. If Purdy's healthy, there's no way you can tell me Lance is the guy. Purdy balled out. Unless Purdy is somehow becomes a shell of himself, I don't see Lance getting a shot to start. I really don't see it. So I would think, but in the same token, though, the Niners and Kyle Shanahan have so much bad luck with the starting quarterbacks. You might gotta keep Lance just to make sure. You know what I'm saying? So it's weird. It's tricky, man. I don't know what to do. Should they sign? Should they keep Lance and Purdy and let them battle it out? Whoever loses stays the backup because that backup might just play, or should you go with Tom Brady, keep Purdy as a backup for maybe one season, and then trade Lance and then see what you have in Purdy after Brady leaves? For that one magical run. I don't know, man. It's very tough, really tough to really figure out. I guess I would go with Purdy. The Tom Brady fit is right there. It's perfect, but Purdy makes the most sense right now. Uh, as far as Lance goes, I would probably keep him. Probably keep him to the trade deadline or for one more year and see what happens. You know, because maybe a team who has an established quarterback already, you know, by the time the trade deadline comes, they might want, you know, they might be having a losing season and they might, you know, show signs of not wanting their quarterback, whoever it is, long term. Let's say the Vikings for example, they want to get rid of Kirk Cousins. The Vikings are like 0-8 by the time the trade deadline comes. It's a guarantee Kirk is probably gone in the season. They want to trade for Lance right then and there. Let him sit behind Kirk for half the year. Then the following season, Lance is the starting quarterback. Something like that dramatic happens, you know. So maybe they hold on to Lance until the trade deadline. But I would probably think though, if he doesn't start right away, they'll probably get him out of there as soon as possible prior to the season starting. So I don't know. It's a tricky spot, man. It's a tricky spot. I wish the best for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan because it is a tough spot to be in. You know, and you know, as I said, they probably need the best. The first thing to do though is probably take the L and commit to the L, and then go ahead and let Trey Lance go on, trade him to someone that really wants to build around him and wants to give him a true shot because Lance tried for a couple years, for 2 years, and couldn't really get it done with the Niners. So yeah, man, that's it for the video, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys next time.